Hello everyone. Let us go through some of the sample questions for AZ900. We need to understand the services which are offered by Microsoft and why those services are used. If you understand the basics of the services, then you will be able to clear the exam without any issues. We will go through all these questions one by one and identify the right answers, and also we will identify how to eliminate the wrong answers whenever we see these type of questions in the examination. Let us start with question number one. Question number one: what is cloud computing? As a definition, we know that the delivery of computing services over the internet is the correct definition for cloud computing. So the keyword is cloud computing, and we know the definition for the cloud computing: delivery of computing services over the internet. The second answer says delivery of storage services over the internet. This is also one of the services which are provided by cloud service provider, but the actual definition of the cloud computing is answer number 1: delivery of websites accessible via the internet. So this is not the right answer, and this is also not the right answer. In question number 2, which cloud model uses some data centers focused on providing cloud services to anyone that wants them, and some data centers that are focused on single customer? We know that in cloud model there are four different types of cloud model. We have public, private, hybrid, and multi-cloud. Public is for public usage. Multi-cloud, this is also for public usage, but it is from two different cloud service providers. This is CSP1, this is cloud service provider 2. It can be Azure, AWS, or Google. Now, in this particular question, the key point is, the key word is anyone. Anyone means public. And another key word is single customer. So there is a public and there is also a single customer. So it is combination of both public and private. So that means this will be the right answer. So this is the right answer. And public cloud, it is only used by public. This is for exclusive usage of public. And this is also for public, but this is from two different service provider, multi-cloud. Hybrid is combination of private and public. So the correct answer is hybrid cloud. Let us go to question number 3. Question number 3, according to the shared responsibility model, which cloud service type places the most responsibility on the customer? We know that there are three types of cloud services: infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. The keyword is according to the shared responsibility model, which cloud service type places the most responsibility on the customer? Most responsibility on the customer. Definitely, software as a service doesn't provide most responsibility. Most of the responsibility will be handled by cloud service provider. And in platform as a service also, cloud service provider owns the most responsibility. Only in infrastructure as a service, customer has the most responsibility, because above the virtual machine, customer has to take care of the operating system, maintenance, patching, backup, and high availability, DR. So everything has to be taken care by the customer. So infrastructure as a service will be the most responsibility on the customer. So this will be the right answer, and this will not be the right answer. Let us see question number 4. Which type of scaling involves adding or removing resources such as virtual machines or containers to meet the demand? The keyword is adding or removing resources such as virtual machines, containers. In vertical scaling, what we do is basically we increase the CPU and memory. Either we increase the CPU or memory, or we will decrease the CPU or memory. So this is vertical scaling. So basically we require a reboot whenever we increase or decrease the CPU or memory on the virtual machine. Horizontal scaling, we have the virtual machines. I can add the virtual machines. I can increase the virtual machine whenever there is a demand. Let us say I am running the critical application, or there is an e-commerce website like Amazon or Flipkart. Then if there is some discount sale, there are too much of traffic, I'll be able to add the virtual machines based on the demand. So once the demand is over, I can actually remove the virtual machines and I can come to normal. So this question number 4, as the right answer, horizontal scaling. So this will be wrong answer. And direct scaling, I have not heard about any term called as direct scaling. So I will simply eliminate this answer. Let us move to question number 5. What is characterized as the ability of a system to recover from failures and continue to function? The keyword here is ability of a system to recover. So we have a system which can recover from failures and continue to function. If I take the answer reliability, predictability, and scalability, let us see these answers one by one. Scalability is actually adding the virtual machines or container based on the demands, or increasing the CPU or memory. I can increase or decrease the CPU or RAM. We don't know where exactly we are scaling. We can scale within the same data center, right? This is not recovering from the failures. So this will be the wrong answer. Predictability. If I have a virtual machine and I know this virtual machine has 4 cores of CPU and 16 GB of RAM, I know that this particular virtual machine is going to give certain performance. I can predict performance. I can predict for the performance, and also the same virtual machine, I can also predict for cost. For this month, if I am using this virtual machine, I know that this will be the cost. So I am basically predicting performance and cost. So predictability doesn't solve this question. The right answer will be reliability. So whenever we use the virtual machine, let us say we have deployed our virtual machine in an availability set. If one of the virtual machine fails, we have another virtual machine which can continue to function. So this will continue to function. If I use the virtual machine in an availability zone, if the zone fails, I note that there is another zone which will work. Even there is a zone failure, the virtual machine will continue to work. So reliability will be the correct answer. Question number 6. Which cloud service type is most suited to a lift and shift migration from an on-prem data center to a cloud deployment? So the question is lift and shift migration to cloud. So in this particular case, let us eliminate the wrong answers. Software as a service, definitely not, because you already have an application. The only thing is you need to have the device, you need to subscribe to the software as a service application, then you will be able to access the application. In platform as a service, you will be provided with a runtime. You will not be able to do any kind of customization using platform as a service. You will be provided with the runtime. You need to select the runtime and deploy your applications. In infrastructure as a service, if you are running a custom application, so let us say you have a virtual machine on your on-prem environment, or you can also have physical server. You are running some kind of custom application on specific operating system. Say it is Windows or Linux, and you have tweaked the operating system registry or operating system configuration files on Windows or Linux, and you are able to run that particular application. Tweaking the registry or the configuration of the operating system, platform as a service doesn't provide, and software as a service also doesn't provide. We need to choose infrastructure as a service. So, which means you need to run the virtual machine, then you will be able to deploy your custom application on the virtual machine. So, infrastructure as a service will be the correct answer. Let us see question number 7. What type of cloud service type would a finance and expense tracking solution typically be in? So, there is a requirement of finance and expense tracking solution, which means this question is asking for an application. So, we require an application which is able to solve finance and expense tracking solution. So in this particular case, if I choose infrastructure as a service, I can also use infrastructure as a service to deploy finance and expense tracking solution, but it is going to take time. I need to build the virtual machine. I need to install the software runtime. Only then I'll be able to deploy this finance expense tracking solution application. So it will be a wrong answer because it is going to take time, and platform as a service will provide the runtime. We need to write the code. It is going to provide the runtime. And this is also again going to take time because we have to write code for the application for the finance and expense tracking solution. If we have this finance and expense tracking solution readily available as a software as a service, all we need to do is we need to have a device to access this particular application, which is software as a service application, and we have to subscribe for this application. Then we will be able to access this application. For me, the time is also minimized and deploying the services is also minimized. So I'll choose the answer as software as a service. So this will be the wrong answer, and this will also be the wrong answer. Question number 8. How many resource groups can a resource be in at same time? So let us eliminate the wrong answers. 3, 2, definitely not, because you can have multiple resource group. You can create multiple resource group. You can create one, you can create another resource group. You can also create another resource group. But whenever you deploy any resources, it should be always placed into single resource group. You will not be able to place the virtual machine inside. Say this is resource group 2. You will not be able to place this virtual machine into multiple resource group. This is not possible. So 1 is the right answer. Always you will be able to use only one resource group for your resources. You cannot use multiple resource group. Question number 9. What happens to the resources within a resource group when an action or setting at the resource group is applied? So you have a resource group and you have all your resources. Say this is virtual machine, this is network security group, this is network interface, this is virtual network, subnet. So whenever you set any permission at the resource group, the permission will be inherited by all the resources. So let us see the answer one by one. Current resources inherit the setting, but future resource doesn't. So this will be wrong answer, because whatever resources which are there inside the resource group, all the resources will inherit the same setting. Future resources inherit the setting, but current one doesn't. So this is also wrong answer. So the right answer is the setting is applied to current and future resources. Even if you are deploying any resources inside the same resource group, the setting will be applied. So let us say you have created storage account in the same resource group. The setting whatever you have applied on the resource group, that is also going to take place for the storage account. So that setting is also applied to the storage account. So this will be the right answer. Question number 10. What Azure features replicates resources across region that are at least 300 miles away from each other? In this particular question, we have the keyword of 300 miles. When you see 300 miles, it is very easy. You can easily select region pairs, because in Azure, we have regions. Region pair definition itself, it will say the distance between two different regions should be 300 miles away. Within the region, we have availability zone 1, availability zone 2, availability zone 3. So these availability zones are within 100-kilometer radius. So this is not far as region to region. This will be within 100-kilometer radius. So region pairs will be the correct answer. Availability zone, this is wrong answer. Sovereign regions, it is specific to countries like China and other countries. Sovereign regions are not related to this particular question. So we can straight away eliminate sovereign regions. Let us go to question number 11. Which Azure virtual machine features staggers updates across virtual machines based on their update domain and fault domain? So the keyword is update domain and fault domain. So whenever you see update domain and fault domain, you can easily select availability sets. In availability set, we have the update domain and fault domain. So fault domain is maximum of 3 and update domain is maximum of 20 update domains. Basically, this is to tolerate the hardware failures. This is to tolerate the operating system maintenance or the virtualization software maintenance. Like basically it will be Hyper-V. Scale sets, this is not the right answer. Scale set is a different concept. Using scale set, we are not staggering the updates. Update set, there is no concept like update sets in Azure. So we can actually eliminate this answer. The correct answer will be availability sets. Question number 12. Which Azure service allows user to use a cloud hosted version of Windows from any location and connect from most modern browsers? If I wanted to eliminate the wrong answer, container instance, definitely not. I'll not be able to access the Windows version using the browser. Azure Virtual Machine, this is also not, because I need to RDP to the virtual machine. If I have created the virtual machine, if it is a Windows, then I have to use RDP. If I am using the Linux virtual machine, so let us say this is Linux, this is Windows. For Linux, I have to use SSH. For Windows, I need to RDP. So this is also not. If I am able to access the Windows operating system using the browser, that means Azure Virtual Desktop or Azure VDI. This will be the right answer. Azure Virtual Desktop is a service where you can access the desktop which are provisioned inside the Azure. You will be able to connect to the virtual desktop using the browser. Question number 13. Which tool automatically keeps files between an on-premise Windows server and an Azure cloud environment updated? If I wanted to eliminate the wrong answers over here, AZ copy I will eliminate because AZ copy is a CLI tool for file movement. I can move the files from on-prem to the cloud or cloud to on-prem. I can use this utility. Azure Storage Explorer is used with the storage account. This is a GUI tool used for a storage account. I can do all kind of settings, configuration, create, delete containers. I'll be able to do using the Storage Explorer. Azure File Sync is the service which will be used to sync the files between on-prem and our Azure cloud. So this will be a bidirectional sync and it will work only with Windows operating system. So Azure File Sync will be the right answer. The keyword here is automatically keeps files between on-premises Windows Server and Azure Cloud updated. So this is basically saying sync. Let us go to question number 14. Which storage redundancy option provides the highest degree of durability with 16 nines of durability? If I wanted to eliminate the wrong answer, locally redundant storage, I will eliminate. Zone redundant storage, I will also eliminate this. Geo zone redundant storage will provide 16 nines. And GRS is also going to provide 16 nines of durability. Because LRS will provide 11 nines and ZRS will provide 12 nines of durability. Question number 15. Which Azure storage service supports big data analytics as well as handling text and binary data types? If I wanted to eliminate the wrong answers in this question, I can easily eliminate this answer. So Azure disks are basically used for operating system. So we have the virtual machines, we will use the Azure disks and we will be able to deploy our operating system. Azure Files is used for SMB or NFS file shares. Azure Files are not optimized for the big data. This will be the right answer because Azure blobs are object storage which is optimized for big data analytics. We have something called as data lake. So data lake v2 version we will be able to use with Azure blobs to do big data analytics. So in this particular question, if you see the keyword is binary data. Binary data, when you have binary in the question, then definitely think about Azure blobs. Binary, large object storage. So this is the blob. Question number 16. Which Microsoft Entra tool can vary the credentials needed to log in based on signals such as where the user is located? If I wanted to eliminate the wrong answers here, I can simply eliminate the passwordless. Passwordless is an option for you to use your devices without using the password, either by biometric or Microsoft Authenticator. Guest access is for B2B, so this is also wrong answer. So you invite the guest access into your Entra ID to give the access for your guest account. Conditional access will be the right answer because there is a keyword signal over here. Based on the user location, based on the device, what the user is using, if the device is not permitted, then Entra ID will definitely check the devices which the user is using, and it will not allow the user to log into the portal or log into the Azure cloud. Question number 17. Which security model assumes the worst case security scenario and protects resources accordingly? There are three answers: zero trust, defense in depth, role based access control. Let us eliminate the wrong answers first. Role based access control is to give the access to the users and groups. So we have users and group. We can give permission for the users or groups using role based access control. So this will be the wrong answer. Defense in depth, this is also a strategy. Defense in depth, this is also a strategy which applies for physical security, perimeter security, network, compute, application, and the data itself. So basically these strategies are used to secure your data. So this model, the central focus is to secure your data. So this will be the wrong answer. Right answer is zero trust. Question number 18. A user is simultaneously assigned multiple roles that use role-based access control. What are their actual permissions? The role permissions are role 1, read, role 2, write, role 3, read and write. So in this question, the keyword is there are role permission. The first role is read permission. The second role is write permission. The third role is read and write permission. So let us say a particular user is assigned with read permission, write permission, and read write permission. So this is the scenario. This is the first scenario. This is the second scenario, and this is the third scenario. The question is asking what will be the permission? What will be the actual permission when you use this kind of role-based access control permissions? Whenever we have multiple permissions assigned to the user, the most effective permission will be applied, which means the combination of the permissions gets applied. So it will be read write. So the correct answer will be read and write. Read only is restrictive permission. This is not going to apply. Write only, this is also not going to apply because we have the combined permission of read and write. So this will take into effect. So basically the combination of all the permission will be taken into effect. Let us say we have read, write, read, write. So this combination of permission will be effective for the user. Question number 19. What Azure feature can help stay organized and track usage based on metadata associated with resources? If you see the keyword metadata, then you can straight away select the answer as tags, because tags are the one which are used to organize the resources, and we'll be able to track the usage. So this will be wrong answer. There is nothing called as traces and values. This is also a wrong answer. Question number 20. What's the best method to estimate the cost of migrating to the cloud while incurring minimal costs? Let us eliminate the wrong answers. The first answer is migrate a small sample to the cloud and track costs over time. Definitely, we are not going to do this. Use the total cost of ownership calculator to estimate expected cost. Yes, we wanted to differentiate the on-prem versus the cloud. We have a tool called as total cost of ownership. We can actually estimate the cost of the resources which we have provisioned in on-prem, and we will be able to estimate if we are going to provision the same kind of resources onto the cloud, and what is the cost which we are going to incur. So this will be the right answer, and definitely we are not going to do this. Migrate to the cloud, but track usage closely using tags. So we are not going to do this. Question number 21. How can you prevent creation of non-compliant resources without having to manually evaluate each resource? For this question, if I wanted to eliminate the answers, say suppose for this question I am stuck, I don't know the answer, I wanted to eliminate the wrong answers first. The answers are Azure Policy, Azure Purview, and Azure Resource Monitor. Let us see the answers one by one. If I take the Azure Monitor, this is used to monitor performance, capture the logs, and capture the activity logs, and also we can create alerts. Azure Monitor is used for cloud, on-prem, and even for the multi-cloud environment. So this is the monitoring service. So I'll eliminate this answer. So this is a wrong answer. Azure Purview is a service for data governance. I will classify the data, whether it is a sensitive data, whether it is a less critical or high critical data. So this is a data governance service. It is not related to do anything with the resources. I will also eliminate this answer. This is the wrong answer. The right answer is Azure Policy. Using Azure Policy, we can actually define what kind of virtual machine size we can deploy, in which region we will be able to deploy, what are the OS types we will be able to deploy, and which location we can use to deploy the resources. Using Azure Policy, we can actually set the policy, and we can control our cloud infrastructure. Let us see question number 22. Question number 22. What's the best way to prevent inadvertent deletion of a resource? The answers are Azure Policy, Azure Purview, and Azure Logs. Let us see what is the right answer. I will eliminate the wrong answers first. Azure Policy, we know that this is used for controlling the resources. This is also wrong answer. Azure Purview, this is also wrong answer because this is a data governance service. Azure Resource Log is the right answer. We will be able to use Azure Resource Log at different levels of hierarchy. We will be able to log the resource group and log the resources under the resource group. So using Azure Resource Log, we will be able to prevent inadvertent deletion of resources. So the keyword is deletion of resources. So we have the right answer. Azure Resource Logs. Let's move on to question number 23. What service helps you to manage your Azure on-premises and multi-cloud environment? The answers are Azure Arc, Azure Policy, Azure Cloud Manager. Let us eliminate the wrong answers first. I have not heard about any services like Azure Cloud Manager. I will eliminate this answer. Azure Policy, we know that this is used to control our resources. We can actually control what size of virtual machine, which location we can deploy the resources. The right answer is Azure Arc. Azure Arc is a unified management tool where we will be able to manage our cloud resources. We will be able to manage our on-prem resources. We will be able to manage the multi-cloud resources. Question number 24. What two components could you use to implement a infrastructure as a code? The keyword here is infrastructure as a code deployment. The answers given are Bicep and ARM templates, Azure Policy and Azure Arc, Azure Monitor and Azure Arc. Let us see the answers one by one. Azure Monitor and Azure Arc. Azure Arc, we know it's a management tool. We'll be able to manage our cloud resources, which are Arc enabled resources. We also monitor, manage resources which are deployed in the on-prem. So these resources also should be Arc supported resources and even in multi-cloud environment. Azure Monitor is a monitoring tool to monitor the resources what we have deployed. So we can monitor performance. We can actually create alerts. We can also monitor and capture the logs, activity logs. For application, we can monitor using application insights. Azure Policy, it's a governance and compliance tool. We can control the resources for regulatory cost requirements. And Azure Arc, as I said, this is a management tool to manage Azure Arc enabled resources. The right answer is Bicep and ARM template. So we'll be able to use Bicep and ARM templates to provision the resources in Azure Cloud. So both these tools are specific to Azure. If I am able to use Terraform, so this is a cloud agnostic tool. This is also infrastructure as a tool. This is also infrastructure as a code tool. We will be able to use for multi-cloud service provider. We will be able to use for Azure, AWS, Google, and other cloud service providers also. And also we can use Terraform for on-prem environment as well. So Azure Policy and Azure Arc, this is wrong answer. Azure Monitor and Azure Arc, this is also wrong answer. Bicep and ARM template is the infrastructure as a code which we can use to deploy resources onto the Azure cloud. Question number 25. Which is not one of the recommendation categories for Azure Advisor? So in this question, the keyword is not one of the recommendation categories. So here we need to emphasize on not one of the recommendation categories for Azure Advisor. So let us see the answers: reliability, capacity, cost. We know that Azure Advisor will provide recommendation based on 5 pillars of the cloud architecture. So there are something called as 5 pillars of cloud architecture. We have reliability, performance, cost, operational excellence, and security. So now, in 5 pillars of cloud architecture, we need to identify which is not one of the pillar. So reliability is there, cost is also there. So cost is there, reliability is there. So that means recommendation is provided by Azure Advisor for reliability and cost as well. So this will be the wrong answer and capacity will be the right answer because we need to select not one of the recommendation. So this is not one of the recommendation which will be provided by Azure Advisor. So the correct answer is capacity. Let us move to the question number 26. Question number 26. You receive an email notification that virtual machines in an Azure region where you have virtual machines deployed is experiencing an outage. Which component of Azure Service Health will let you know if your application is impacted? So the keyword is Azure Service Health. When it comes to Azure Service Health, it will provide the information about global infrastructure and the region where our resources has been deployed. So if you have deployed in the East US, if there is any issues, Service Health is going to update us. We will be able to create the alert also using Service Health. So it is going to provide the status information about the resources where we have deployed and specific to the services or resources what we have deployed. So that is also provided by Azure Service Health, specific to resource. So in this particular case, in this question, global infrastructure, Azure status is the one which is going to provide the information. The resources where we have deployed, specific to the region, which will be provided by Service Health. So this will be wrong answer and this will also be the wrong answer. If you wanted to check specific to our resources, specific to our individual resources, the resources which we have deployed, and if that resource is experiencing any issues, any outage, then we can use resource health to identify the issues. So this will be the right answer. So these were the sample questions. Hope you get an idea how to tackle the question by eliminating wrong answers when you are stuck in a particular questions. Thank you and all the best for your exams.